In 1895, J.P. Morgan financially bailed out the United States government, and in 1907 he did the same for Wall Street. To prevent future panics and depressions, influential congressmen and businessmen met in secret at Morgan's estate on Jekyll Island to devise a plan for a centralized bank, much like the Founding Fathers when they were drafting the Constitution for a centralized government. While many congressmen were on Christmas vacation, the Federal Reserve Act was passed through the House and Senate for President Woodrow Wilson to sign into law on December 23, 1913. The Federal Reserve was, and still is, a form of economic fascism. By the 1920s, the Federal Reserve controlled the free markets by dropping interest rates real low, which artificially encouraged people to invest. These were the heydays of the Roaring Twenties. In 1929, the Federal Reserve began raising interest rates without expanding the cash flow. This caused the market crash and inevitably the Great Depression. The wealthy elite and Federal Reserve insiders who had large amounts of cash before the crash were soon able to buy up the assets of the less fortunate for dirt cheap throughout the Depression. In 1933, President Franklin Roosevelt became president and signed the Emergency Banking Act of 1933. This confiscated the gold from the American citizens, declared America bankrupt, and handed trusteeship over to the Federal Reserve. It also created the 90-10 banking system, which allowed banks to lend out 90% of whatever principal they possessed as new money. When money is borrowed from a bank and that money finds its way back to the bank, the process can be repeated again and again. Essentially, banks are only required to maintain 10% of any principal.
I apply it. I have the ideology because I believe that it is the best way of coming at the world and what type of policy.
What is the proper relationship, what should be the proper relationship between a chairman of the Fed and a president of the United States?
Well, first of all, the Federal Reserve is an independent agency, and that means basically that there is no other agency of government which can overrule actions that we take. So long as that is in place and there is no evidence that the administration or the Congress or anybody else is requesting that we do things other than what we think is the appropriate thing, then what the relationships are don't frankly matter. And I've had very